Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down.
Alright, here we are, folks.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simon's down in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania for an update on Super Tuesday. It's all over but the crying, and the tears are flowing, no doubt, tonight for those hoping that Nikki Haley would pull a rabbit out of a hat. Joe Biden wins big, of course, in the Democratic primaries as expected, and Donald Trump in a thumping victory tonight. So far, all but one state have fallen for the Trump campaign. That is, of course, Vermont, which was perverted and polluted by crossover votes. In Vermont, anybody can show up as a registered voter and declare yourself to vote for the Republican Party without even changing your political affiliation. And tonight, Nikki Haley, after a closely fought race, looks like she's going to win Vermont. But it is a clean sweep across the board otherwise for Donald Trump. And we're not talking 51 to 38. We're talking 79, 86% to 12, 15, 20, 30% max. While the pundits on Fox News and CNN continue to say Trump's got a problem, that's utter nonsense. These people will come into the fold and will vote for Republican in the fall. There's no way that people vote for the most unpopular president in the history of the Republic, even less popular than, of course, Jimmy Carter. Then we're talking, of course, about Joe Biden. Everything Donald Trump predicted after the 2020 election about Biden getting into office came true. Rapid inflation, America falling from its position in the world, the undermining of the middle class. It's all happened. Energy independence out the window. Everything he said about Joe Biden has turned out to be true. He's been, of course, Senior von Rendsburg or Nostradamus, to say the least. But then he wasn't the only one. I said the same things. But welcome back to the program this evening, folks. It's a clean sweep for Trump with the exception of Vermont. And, of course, Vermont's race is not legitimate, polluted by non-Republican voters deciding who the Republican candidate is. In other races, a lot of people have crossed over in Virginia, but nonetheless, Trump is thumping her there, despite the fact that Democrats have tried to pervert that race and independents. And so we're seeing what's going on. It's been a rousing few days for Donald John Trump, winning big in, of course, North Dakota, and then winning, of course, the biggest victory of all, the Supreme Court upholding the Constitution's 14th Amendment, stating that states have no right to declare a candidate having committed insurrection or rebellion against the United States and preventing them from being a federal candidate. Of course, that is quite clear in the 14th Amendment, as I noted back in November when Colorado tried this nonsense. So he wins big in North Dakota. He wins the biggest victory of all on Monday at the Supreme Court in a 9-0 decision. And now today he is wiping the floor with Nikki Haley. And it is time for Nikki Haley to consider her options and perhaps move on. Donald Trump spoke tonight. He was the only candidate who actually spoke. Nikki Haley hiding somewhere, looking under her skirt to see what's going on. Joe Biden looking under his own skirt, hiding, eating his chocolate chip ice cream tonight on what should have been a rousing victory for him. He should have came out and said great and wondrous things, but of course he took a lid or sometime after 10 a.m. this morning, and Joe Biden is not available. So Biden doesn't speak, Haley doesn't speak, only Trump speaks in what is honestly quite a subdued, mild, reserved, polite, largely respectful speech. He did not attack Nikki Haley, didn't even mention her. He did attack the failed policies of Joe Biden. He did point out his successes, and he did rather conservatively and politely not call the media fake news, said that we need the media. We need independent media. We need a media to hold people accountable. They're supposed to be the policeman to make sure that the state is behaving properly. What a conciliatory effort by Donald John Trump. A subdued speech tonight, not the rousing barn burner or finger pointing or yelling or name calling that we're accustomed to seeing from Trump. Is he maturing as a political candidate? I don't know. We'll see. But what's at risk tonight, folks? What's at risk tonight? This is what's on the table. Excuse me, I get the hiccups all of a sudden. On the table for tonight. Super Tuesday 2024. Primaries in Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Utah, Colorado, California, Minnesota, and Alaska. A treasure trove of delegates for the Republican primary here. And they are as follows. In Maine, 20 candidates. Vermont, 17 with the lowest. Massachusetts with 40. Virginia, 48. North Carolina, 74. Tennessee, 58. Alabama, 50. Arkansas, 40 delegates. Oklahoma, 43. Colorado, 37. Utah, 40. American Samoa, 9. Alaska, 29. And the two big ones on the table. Texas with 161 delegates in the Republican primary, and California with 169. Trump is running away with every one of these races, with California yet to report, Alaska yet to report. California's polls closed 6 minutes ago. We have not seen an update on any results from California as yet, but we expect that Trump will win large there. This is not just a victory, it is a massive thumping of epic proportions, yet the pontificators and the procrastinators, or not procrastinators, but prognosticators. Thank you. Prognosticators are trying to whitewash this victory and say it wasn't a Trump victory. It is a major, major, major victory for Donald Trump across the board, and it comes on the heels of the decision by the Supreme Court to ensure that he was on the ballot. Two states in Super Tuesday, Maine and Colorado, were states that illegitimately, unconstitutionally, illegally, unlawfully sought to remove him from the ballot. They failed. And Donald Trump is running away with both of those states. Maine, he has a massive lead, and also in Colorado. Both states now called for Trump tonight, and this is, how do you say it? Anything, simply a big win. Trump now, according to this leaderboard, which I'm surprised why it's taking so long, they're not putting the delegates up there, but tonight Trump has won 180, but he's already won Texas, so I don't know why that's not on the board. So they're way behind on the delegates. Trump 453 and Nikki Haley 52. Trump has won 180 tonight. She's won 9. So let's take a look at the results here. And this is 453 to 52. That is the delegate count. Trump needs 1,215 to become the nominee. Joe Biden needs 1,968 to become the nominee for his party. Taking a look across the country from the Washington Post, Maine currently 72% voting for Trump, 26% for Haley. In Vermont, Nikki Haley at 50%, Donald Trump at 45.7%. Massachusetts, Trump at 60.5% to Nikki Haley's 36%. In Virginia, it's 63% to 35% for Trump. North Carolina, 74.5% to 22%. In Tennessee, 77.4% to 19.5%. In Arkansas, 75.7% to 19%. In Oklahoma, 81% to 15%. In Texas, 78% to 17%. In Minnesota, 66% to 31%. In Colorado, 63%. Utah just starting to come in results, just about 200 votes in, and it's Trump leading 2-1. In California, we have over 3,000 votes now, with Trump leading 67 to 23%. That is a shellacking of epic proportions. Notice how I kept saying 77, 81, 70, 79, 86 in all those southern states. Trump is just rolling up the victories there. So let's take a look state by state. This you should be able to see a little bit better. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is from the Associated Press, and we'll make sure that we're correct with the update here. All right, so 1108 is most recent. So Alaska's yet to come in. Alabama, 83.7% Trump. Arkansas, 75.7% Trump. Both states called for Trump. California just starting to come in. Trump up to 77% there. In Colorado, Trump 63%, a state that tried to keep him off the ballot. 81% of the votes counted. In Massachusetts, with 58% of the votes counted, Trump has 60%, and that has been called for him. In Maine, with 73% of the votes counted, Donald Trump leading 72%. Nikki Haley well behind. Minnesota with 82% of the votes counted, Trump at 66.5%. North Carolina with 92% of the votes counted, Trump 74.5%. Oklahoma with 98% of the votes, 81.8% for Donald Trump. Tennessee with 90% of the votes, 77.4% for Trump. And in Texas with 61%, it's 77.8% for Trump. In Utah, it's early. Only a handful of votes have come in. Trump is leading there. In Virginia, Trump has won with 95% of the votes counted, 63.1%. In Vermont, Nikki Haley will be the winner at 50.0% with 92% of the votes counted. That is a shocking result, a shocking outcome for Nikki Haley. I'm not sure where she goes next. Biden has actually lost tonight, and of all places, American Samoa with just 91 votes. And Jason Palmer, an entrepreneur out there, has defeated Biden. He also lost in the last election, that time to Michael Bloomberg. This time he's losing to Jason Palmer. Not that it matters. They don't hold any electoral college votes. They do, however, send delegates to the Democratic primary to select the president. And here he has won 51 votes to 40 votes with 56%. Jason Palmer wins the American Samoa caucus. So neither Trump nor Biden will run the table tonight, it looks like. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So this is what it looks like so far, folks. If you go by color, this is the Republican. And you can see that Trump has won everywhere except the District of Columbia, which doesn't matter, and Vermont. Look at this. Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, Idaho, Nevada, Colorado, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, and we still have 3 more primaries tonight. California, Utah, and Alaska yet to be called tonight. It is just across the board Donald John Trump. I'm sure that this is giving chest pains to the all but Trump crowd. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat here, and we'll get back to the story here. South African viewers are here with us tonight. Thank you for that. It's early morning in South Africa. We've got back to the beginning. Hendo is here, Gus, and then we've got CB, Arctic. Janet Liddy Menage says, will Nikki Haley finally suspend her campaign now or will she keep blowing the Kochs? No, she has. I don't know if she has money left for the Kochs they've donated, but the Koch brothers have stopped funding her after her last loss in South Carolina. So I'm not sure what she'll do. And frankly, if Nikki Haley wants to continue, I have no problem with that. That's she's alienating herself from Republicans and conservatives, claiming to be a conservative, and she's anything but. So Nikki Haley wants to continue. That's on her. I'm not going to tell her to get out of the race. I'm also a political candidate, and so I'm not going to tell anybody to leave a race. It's her prerogative to be there if she has supporters. But I will tell you this, now really is the best time for her to make amends and stop running her vicious anti-Trump lies in her advertising. The people paying for these ads are really despicable people, and they need to stop it. Otherwise, she's going to find herself running to the Democratic Party like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. Hendo is here. George Steinberg is back again. Shawnee, hey Shawnee, how's it going? Good to see you there. Loudy Monday is here. Welcome from Howick. Howick, yes indeed. You need to go to bed, or I need to go to bed. It's getting close to my bedtime here. So, Dark Star's here. Welcome, Dark Star. Okay. Menage wants to know where Hendo's from. Hendo is from the Western Cape, but he's been living in the United Kingdom as a refugee for 30 years. Yes. Christopher de Arbitron says, good morning. Good morning to you. And shame it ain't November. Yeah. And the scientist is here. Okay. Love this name. Keep it to it. It's what's this? Beautiful from the darkness light. Yeah. Dark Star's a cool name. Right. Okay. So again, things are going rather swimmingly well for Trump and for Biden at this hour. But that's with the primaries. When it comes to the polls and what's happening, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is not going well for Joe Biden in all the polling about what's going on here. Let's take a look here. All right, so I'm going to run through this list here. I got to zoom up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Now they've allocated more delegates to Trump. He's up to 493 according to this. Let me see if I can do one more. Okay, I think one more will work. Here we go. So this should be something you can see now pretty well. That's going to be just a second here. Bring it over, and there we go. All right, so you should be able to read that unless you're on a tiny phone screen. 2024 primary results tonight. Trump now has 493 delegates, and that was updated 1 minute ago. All right. California, 74% for Trump with 2% reporting. Utah, 63% for Trump with 1% reporting. But again, Alabama, 83.7% for Trump with 2/3 reporting, 29 delegates at risk here. Not at risk yet, to be captured. available. So in Arkansas, 75.7% with 92% of the vote in. Donald Trump can get those 27 delegates. In Colorado, with 82% in, Trump 63%, 20 delegates available. In Maine, 60% and 59% of the votes are in, 40 delegates available. Strange, Maine has more delegates. Oh, excuse me, Massachusetts. Maine is 20 delegates. Trump is leading 72% there. In Minnesota, Trump has 67%. In North Carolina, he has 74.5%. In Oklahoma, 81.8%. And in Tennessee, 77.4%, with Texas giving him 77.9%. Wow, it is absolutely bat crap crazy here. That's what's going on here. More results. Yeah, those guys are out, so get rid of them. Right, there you go. That's the situation at this hour. Donald Trump spoke a short while ago, within the last hour, in a rather subdued, quiet, conciliatory, respectful speech, clearly focused on the general election and no longer paying any attention to Nikki Haley, which is probably a wise move. Nikki Haley now has to decide whether she wants to make amends with the party she continues to insult, with the Americans she insults, with her vitriolic hatred, with her Democratic talking points, even though she claims to be a conservative. I've yet to see her prove one conservative credential, and now's the time to prove it. Well, I don't think she has it in her, so we'll see. Nikki Haley now trailing behind Trump by over 400 delegates, 493 to 52, and more delegates yet to be awarded. California now, votes coming in with 3.7%. Trump has 72% of the California primary vote. Wow. Utah is lagging behind with less than 1%, even though it closed earlier than California. John Hutchin's in from Arizona, which doesn't have a primary tonight. But we are just ticking it off. Donald John Trump is winning race after race after race after race. Pretty scary stuff if you're Joe Biden. Trump is doing quite well. It's been a very impressive run for him. Very impressive run. So let me go through all the actual numbers here as we talk about it. The Alaska caucus is still, they close in 44 minutes. So Alaska closed in 44 minutes. But Alabama is already closed, and in Alabama, Trump is 83.68%. He gets all 29 delegates. 0 delegates go to Nikki Haley, despite the fact that she got 12.5% of the vote. In Arkansas, Donald Trump gets all 27 delegates, and he has 76% of the vote. In American Samoa, Joe Biden lost. In California, Donald Trump is currently ahead with just 6% of the electorate in. That's coming in quickly now for California. In just a few minutes, we got 6%. Trump has 71%, and there's 161 delegates available in that treasure trove tonight in California. That's the big one, folks. That is the big one. 161, a little bit bigger than Texas. In Colorado, Donald Trump with 63.13% of the vote, and he gets 20 delegates. The way they do this proportionally is Nikki Haley is going to get 5 delegates. So he doesn't take the entire table. He'll get 20, she gets 5. Remember, Colorado unlawfully, unconstitutionally, illegitimately, immorally, and dangerously tried to exclude Donald Trump from this ballot, but they were stayed by the Supreme Court, who ruled they were overreaching. There's an Iowa primary tonight for Joe Biden. He got 90% of the vote, only 11,000 turned out. Massachusetts, Donald Trump, Iowa, of course, had its caucuses, Republicans back in January or February. January, excuse me. In Massachusetts, Donald Trump with 60.45% of the vote. Delegates have yet to be awarded this. I'm not sure why. 60% of the votes are in. They have not awarded the delegates to anyone yet. I'm not sure what's going on there. Nikki Haley with just 36% of the vote. In Maine, Donald Trump with 72% of the votes. Nikki Haley just 26%. Trump will get all 20 delegates. That's becoming a familiar theme tonight. In Minnesota, Donald Trump has won there, but they've yet to award the delegates. That's 67% for Trump, 31% for Nikki Haley. In North Carolina, Donald Trump will get 20 delegates. Nikki Haley gets 4. Trump wins the race 74 to 23%. In Oklahoma, Donald Trump has won 82% of the vote, and he gets all 37 delegates. Nikki Haley gets nothing with her 16%. Tennessee, Donald Trump with 77% of the vote gets all 40 delegates. Nikki Haley gets nothing with 19%. And then Texas, Donald Trump with 78% of the vote and yet to award those delegates from Texas. I'm not sure what the holdup on that is. We're waiting for that. The polls are closed, but only 63% of the vote is in. So I guess they're waiting until mathematically it's impossible, and then they'll award the delegates. Utah, it's a caucus, early numbers, hardly any numbers coming in. Trump is way ahead there. In the Virginia primary, now this was an interesting one because Virginia is another one of those states that subverts democracy by undermining political parties, allowing other people to vote in your primary. So in Virginia and Vermont, people could cross over easily. In Vermont, we've seen that it's going to throw the race for Nikki Haley. But in Virginia, where people thought it would be a close race and Nikki Haley could possibly win, and she had won Virginia, I predicted she would have stayed in this race. Not that she's withdrawn, but Virginia would have given her hope. However, 95% of the results in for Virginia. Donald Trump with 63% of the vote. Nikki Haley with 35%. She is not going to win this race, and Donald Trump gets all 27 delegates from the state of Virginia. That leads to Vermont primary. We're currently with 92%, and Nikki Haley's dropped below 50%. In Vermont, if you don't get 50.1% of the vote, you don't get all the delegates. They're proportionally split. So she must get another 0.06% of the vote in order for her to get those delegates. Now, this is a race that could hurt her or could hurt Trump, because I think it's going to hurt her more, because Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie got over 2,100 votes between them, which makes up over 3.13% of the vote, which could keep Nikki Haley from getting the full number of delegates. Not that it really matters, but she's winning in that race at this hour by about 3,000 votes, 2,900 votes. Yeah, so there you go. Wow, crazy, crazy stuff here. So that's the current situation across the country tonight for this election night. Super Tuesday, number of states voting, 15, 16, depending how you view it, including 15 states and American Samoa tonight. And Trump is wiping the table with Nikki Haley, as I predicted. Not exactly a difficult prediction to make. However, in Vermont, Nikki is winning. She's had one victory. That is the nation's district, the District of Columbia, where she won that primary just a few days ago. It's been a great run for Donald Trump, but he was a very subdued Trumpster tonight. When he spoke, of course, Joe Biden, who is winning his primaries handily, with the exception of American Samoa, which really doesn't matter in the scheme of things. Joe Biden failed to bother to make an appearance. No one woke him up, but they did issue a very terse, disrespectful, and rude statement about Donald Trump. And that is not going to win him the election. The leftists are there. They'll come back to the fold. No matter what you do in Israel, they're going to come back. But there are a lot of people leaving the Democratic Party. It is fascinating. Scientist says Nikki Haley should drop out and try to get in Trump's cabinet. That's probably what people do, but I don't want her in the cabinet. She is a rhino. She never should have been the ambassador to the UN, but I suppose if you're going to put her anywhere, that was a good place to put her. Trump sits at the head of the table. Indeed, he does. Yep. All right, so what else? Shame in 8 November, says Arctic. That is true. That is true. Yeah, so let's see if we got more results coming in now. California is now at 19% of the vote, and Donald Trump has increased his lead to 73%. Wow, he is rolling there. Utah is still incredibly slow coming in. I don't know what's going on. They've got Nikki Haley at 50% now, with 95% of the vote in. So, yeah, let's see if we get an update here really quickly. Yeah. All right, so if you look across the board here, I'm looking on the New York Times page. It's got them alphabetically listed states, and it is Trump, 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 Haley. And let me tell you the difference here. Trump, Alabama, plus 70%. Arkansas, Trump, 57% plus. California, Trump, plus 42%. Massachusetts, Trump, plus 22%. Maine, Trump, plus 48%. Minnesota, Trump, plus 41%. North Carolina, Trump, plus 51%. Oklahoma, Trump, plus 66%. Tennessee, Trump, plus 58%. Texas, Trump, plus 59%. Utah, Trump, plus 14%. They're calling that a close one. And in Virginia, Trump, plus 29%. Haley in Vermont, plus 3.9%. It is no matter how you shake it, it's all Trump. It's a global imperative President Trump wins the election. I agree 100%, Christopher Darberton. It's also a state imperative that I win my primary and represent this district. I think it's really serious. By the way, folks, if I could digress for just a second here. Earlier I was watching Grow Big TV, and on Grow Big TV, They were referencing Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI. So I just thought I'd try this. Now, I didn't make this up. I'm just going to read you some of the highlights. This is what I did. Kawi could see it. Trump will save America and the world. Yeah, may God bless him indeed. So this is what I wrote. I said, who is Colonel William M. Wyatt? Of course, that's me. And this is what it spit out, a one-page summary. And I'm just going to read to you some of the highlights of it. I didn't write this. I did not write this. This is what AI did from researching who I am. Now, you'll notice there's no mention of CIA in here because I don't work for them, Scott Balson. Anyway, William M. Chris Wyatt is a distinguished professional military officer with an impressive track record of accomplishments. His extensive pedigree has earned him well-deserved honors and recognition in the security sector. Let's delve into his remarkable journey. Background education. Colonel Wyatt's upbringing on a farm instilled in him a strong work ethic and a thirst for knowledge. He's largely self-taught and self-educated in world events. His expertise extends across various domains, including international development and education, with experiences spanning Africa, Europe, Southwest Asia, and North America. Pretty cool, huh? Military career highlights. Foreign Area Officer. Colonel Wyatt was trained as a Foreign Area Officer, proficient in 6 languages. Counterintelligence, counterterrorism. His background includes expertise in counterintelligence, counterterrorism, signals intelligence, and national security strategy. Then it lists all my security sector roles: Liberia, Botswana, Africa Command, Niger, Mauritania, Africa Command, Uganda, the African Union, and then Director of African Studies at War College. Teaching and impact. Colonel Wyatt's passion for Africa is evident in his role as an educator and motivator at the U.S. Army War College. He imparts his wisdom to a global audience. Notably, he played a pivotal role in rebuilding the armed forces of Liberia, leaving behind a capable force of 2,137 soldiers ready to defend their country. Unquestioned integrity. Colonel Wyatt's integrity is beyond reproach. His leadership has inspired men and women to achieve great feats under his command. His ability to realign thinking and vision extends even to Fortune 500 companies. In summary, Colonel William M. Chris Wyatt is a remarkable individual whose impact resonates across continents, and his dedication to education and security continues to shape the world. Wow, and the United States. Now, that's artificial intelligence. I mean, I realize that that Gemini from Google is giving us images of black founding fathers, but that's from Copilot from Microsoft. Wow, man. That's pretty cool, huh? I was impressed. So how do you become a delegate? Well, Arctic, you get elected to that. In Pennsylvania, we have an election process, and you run. Some states select their delegates, but Pennsylvania, you get elected to it. And that's one of the positions that if you swore an oath to the Constitution, that if you go in insurrection, according to the 14th Amendment, you cannot serve. Rita says, from Cape Town, good morning, and Leka Slap. Hey, good evening, Rita. Good morning, actually. Good morning from Still By, says Christopher. Okay. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, I was humbled by that. I was taken. Look, some of these words I've written in places, I mean, some of them, yeah, even artificial intelligence likes me. The only slip up is the image it created of you shows you being an elderly Mongolian female. Transgender. I'm a transgender lesbian in my AI image. Don't you know that? Yeah, no, this is AI. I didn't write this stuff. There is one mistake in here for sure. It's missing a number for the number of soldiers I trained in Liberia. It makes it look like it's just a couple hundred. It was over 2,000. But I mean, yeah, I didn't write this. My integrity is beyond reproach, and I've inspired men and women, and my ability to realign thinking and vision extends. Who wrote that? I don't even remember any of that coming from any of my evaluations. So thank you, Copilot. I was impressed. I was humbled by that. Yeah, elderly Mongolian female, elderly Mongolian transgender female. Yep. Anyway, my goodness. All right. So Donald Trump won 12 states, but Nikki Haley got her second victory in the primary season with Vermont. So we're still waiting for California, Utah, and Alaska. Alaska will close in 32 minutes, and then hopefully we'll start seeing results. Meanwhile, Utah is really putting us to sleep here with less than 1% of the votes reporting. I don't know what their problem is. And the delegates have yet to pile up here. We've still not waiting for Texas to be aligned here. Texas with a lot of delegates waiting for that to show up. Yeah. So, yep. All right. Yep. So Alabama, 91% of the votes are in. Arkansas, 86%. California, 29%. Colorado, 94%. Massachusetts, 64%. They're also slow at reporting. They were among the first states to close. Maine, 77% of the votes in. Minnesota, 77%. North Carolina, over 95%. Oklahoma, over 95%. Tennessee, over 95%. Texas with 66%. Utah, less than 1% of what's going on in Utah. And in Virginia, 94% have been reported. With Vermont at over 95%. So these races are all but effectively over except for Alaska, California, and Utah. It's a bit ironic that Trump sweeps Colorado. Yes, it is, menage a trois. It's very ironic. He also is sweeping Maine. He is just rolling in Maine. I mean, Maine, it's 72% to 26%. He gets all 20 delegates in Maine after they scumbag, appointed dirtbag, demonic, criminal, unacceptable Secretary of State for the state of Maine removed him from the ballot arbitrarily, and she violated the Constitution. It is a bit ironic that, isn't it? Well, it's just, look, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing. This is historic. This is historic. Mark my words. Regardless of what happens in November, mark my words. We are at a point now in the greatest single comeback in political history for any candidate in any country, at any point in history of the entire world. Donald John Trump, we were told by Politico, we were told by the New York Times, we were told by the Washington Post, we were told by the major media, Donald Trump is dead. He is DOA. He will never, ever be a factor in politics in this country again. His divisive politics are gone. This is what they said in November of 2020. This is what they said in 2022. Donald Trump cost the Republicans the midterm elections. The red tsunami turned into be a red trickle. They blamed Donald Trump, but the real reason they lost in 2022 was the Dobbs decision, folks. That's what it's all about. They made it all about abortion, and that's why the Republicans lost in 2022. They screwed the pooch because they allowed the Democrats and the media to run with the narrative about abortion. Oh, I can't back alley abortions. There was nothing changed. Nothing changed. The only thing changed is the federal government, which has no authority to relegate or regulate abortions, returned to its proper role of sticking its nose where it belongs, not where it doesn't belong. So the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, it's a very short one, folks, very lovely. As Trump says, it's just a lovely, it's the best ever. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, in other words, abortion, nor prohibited by it to the states, abortion, are reserved to the states respectively, abortion, or to the people, abortion. So the federal government has no role, according to the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, right there in the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791. The First Amendments to the Constitution. And therefore, the Republicans screwed the pooch in 2022, not Donald John Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. This is the greatest political comeback in history. Think about it. Donald Trump was a darling of Hollywood. Donald Trump was a darling of the mainstream media. They would interview him all the time. They would salivate when they could get next to Donald Trump. Everybody, bankers, media, journalists, politicians, rap stars, sports figures, they all gravitated to Donald Trump. And then he made the mistake of coming down that escalator at Trump Towers and announcing he was going to run against the most evil woman on the planet, Hillary Rodham Clinton. And then he did the unthinkable. They gave him $1 billion of free press by covering every utterance he made and making him incredibly popular by giving him unlimited access to the air, shutting out all the other candidates, depriving them of oxygen in election interference in 2016, which is what the media did. Donald Trump won. He defeated the thoroughly reprehensible and dislikable Hillary Clinton. And then it all started. They illegally got Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants to wiretap and listen to Carter Page, a CIA agent, an agent of the United States, an asset of the CIA who was spying on Russia for the benefit of the United States. And that is something that when you disclose a warrant to a judge for FISA, you must tell them if this person works for, is an actor or agent on behalf of the United States. They failed to do that. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Comey, all criminals who've all gotten away without any prosecution, all criminals. That's what happened. They got a FISA warrant. They got him the Carter Page. And because they got Carter Page, they got into Michael Flynn. And Michael Flynn, they got into Paul Manafort and a whole host of other people they went after. Why? To lie about them. They lied that Michael Flynn was violating the Logan Act. It was a Logan Act, what it was, by talking to the Russian ambassador, by negotiating with him. They were in a transition. They had won the election, and he was the incoming national security advisor. It would be the height of stupidity for the incoming national security advisor and foreign secretary not to engage with foreign governments so that you have continuity of government the moment that the Obama administration leaves. But they use that to create the fake Russia collusion narrative and lie about Trump, lie about Eric Trump, lie about Jared Kushner, and undermine the safety and security and reputation of this country for 3 years. And now Adam Schiff is on the verge of becoming a Democratic nominee for Senate in California. This scumbag will be in the Senate forever. But I have the proof right here. I have the proof, says Adam Schiff, but I can't show it to you. It's classified. Well, what do you care about classification? Joe Biden just leaves classified documents laying around in his garage, at his think tank in Washington, D.C., on the Acela train. Take your pick. Why do Democrats suddenly care about classification? Only when they can go after a political opponent do they care about classification. Because, of course, Schiff lied to us the entire time. Anyway, so that started all of it. Then we had the nonsense. They had, Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan undermining the Trump administration, preventing the wall from being built. Then we had endless lawsuits taken to the Ninth Circuit Court in California, a friendly leftist hate-wanking bench that ruled against the Trump administration time and time again, unlawfully, illegitimately, and unconstitutionally to override his executive orders. Every single time that a federal court told the Trump administration to stay their actions, they stayed their actions. They adhered to the court. They followed the rule of law. And in every single case that I can recall, the Trump administration was proven correct. Then after months of wasted time, they're able to move forward. The lies and obfuscation told and the behavior of the Democrats and rhinos in Congress to undermine that administration and this republic is epic. Donald Trump stopped the bleeding at the border. Donald Trump stopped and destroyed ISIS in just 4 months. Obama created ISIS and it bled Jordanians, the Yazidi, the Iraqis, the Kurds, Syrians, Turks. It destroyed lives, gang rape, sexual slavery, murder, abuse, torching a Jordanian pilot in a cage, lighting him on fire like animals. This is the creation of Barack Hussein Obama's inept foreign policy. And Donald Trump, in just 4 months, never having been a politician, wiped ISIS off the face of the earth and restored stability to that region. Donald Trump, through Jared Kushner as his emissary, created the Abraham Accords, the single largest and most effective peace agreement in the history of the Middle East. Donald Trump. The Abraham, completely undone by Joe Biden in less than 3 years. An incredible historic achievement. Morocco restores relations with Israel that haven't been there for years. They cooperate on defense, economics, culture, flights, with El Al landing in Morocco. United Arab Emirates creates diplomatic relations with Israel for the first time. Sudan, diplomatic relations with Israel. Saudi Arabia, diplomatic relations with Israel. All of it upended and screwed and turned upside down by the corrupt, inept administration of little Joe Biden and his parade of leftist hate wankers. And all of these things, they undermine Donald Trump. He achieved thing after 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 thing. Success after success after success. He's represented all Americans despite the lies about him. The twisted, the contorted, the altered, the edited, the misleading. Charlottesville, a few good people on both sides. Yeah, he said that as part of a much longer thing in which he castigated and criticized right-wing extremists and also left-wing extremists. Yes, and they lied about that. They lied about the phone call to Volodymyr Zelensky. They lied about the Javelin missiles going to Ukraine, claiming that he didn't provide that. When the irony is that Barack Hussein Obama refused to give offensive weapons so he didn't upset his personal relationship with his friend in Moscow. Remember, it wasn't Donald Trump that leaned over in the chair and said to Medvedev to tell Vlad that after the election, I'll have more space to give him what he wants. It wasn't Donald Trump that said that. It was Barack Hussein Obama who colluded with the Russians and leaned over. It was Barack Hussein Obama's Victoria Nuland State Department that undermined the democracy of Ukraine and overthrew a democratically elected government. It was Barack Hussein Obama who did that, not Donald John Trump. Yes, that's right. But the world doesn't know that because the collective memory of the world is 34 seconds. Because the media misleads, distorts, and confuses. And the leftists reinforce that with their lies because they control corporate boards, they control academia, they control the media, they control tech. And people don't want to hear the truth because the truth is inconvenient. Donald Trump is a bore. Donald Trump is impolite. Donald Trump is rude. He's disrespectful. But he's incredibly effective, and that burns their shorts. That burns their shorts. That's the bottom line here. So that's what's going on, folks. The rappers and celebrities were with Trump until he started saying racist stuff about Mexicans. Nope, see, menage a trois, you're a sucker, buddy. I like you as a viewer, but you're a sucker. He never said anything racist about Mexicans. First off, most Mexicans are white. Newsflash, menage a trois, they're white. So that doesn't mean a white person can't say something racist about another white person. We see it in South Africa all the time. But they're white, most Mexicans. And he said nothing racist about Mexicans. He said that drug dealers and criminals come across our border. And who has been proven correct? Again, Laken Riley, butchered, murdered, disfigured, dismembered. Kate Steinle. The list is endless of Americans. A young lady in Frederick, 45 minutes south of where I live, raped and murdered by a criminal alien invader. Criminal alien invaders beating up cops on the street in New York. Who was right? Donald Trump was right. When you allow criminal aliens to invade your country, this is what you get. MS-13, serial murders, pedophiles, rapists, thieves, criminals. And that's what Donald Trump said. That's not racist. That's a statement of fact. The facts bear him out. You are not a good person if you invade our country and violate our sovereignty. You're not. You're a criminal by definition if you violate our sovereignty and enter our country. I never violated the sovereignty of South Africa or Namibia, Botswana, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait. Well, I suppose I violated Iraq's because I invaded them, but that's a whole other story. So I'll take that one back. Germany, Belgium, Poland, Estonia, Sweden, take your pick. Never violated sovereignty, obeyed the laws of those countries, and went through a legitimate border crossing with proper documentation to prove my bona fides and my provenance, my origin. That's what a respectful person does. A criminal alien invader crosses the Rio Grande, throws away their passport and identification so that they cannot. And by the way, they had passports and identification because they couldn't have got through Mexico without it. And we find them by the thousands dropping their documents there. They all should be turned over to intelligence so that those people can be arrested and deported as criminals and never allowed back in the country. Trump didn't say anything racist. That's nonsense. That's what the media said. And that's what people bought into. They really don't care for Hillary and her super predators comments. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Menage a Trois. And the Haitians hate Hillary and Bill Clinton because they defrauded them of so much money that was meant to help victims in that country. Phil Hayward says, what will deep state attempt now that Trump narrative is unwinding? Well, Phil, it's not over. It's not over. They haven't tried to eliminate him yet. Give that time. I mean, look at the people in Bill and Hillary's orbit. I meant perceive. Yeah, no, I got you, Menage a Trois. Okay, yeah, you didn't mean that. The media perceived him. You were 100% correct. Yep. Who signed with Anthem? Who are we talking about? Justice. Yeah, I don't know where he's playing at, Matt Canal. It's a good question. Yep. Lynn says, I hope you're well. Thanks so much for the update. Trump is great. Yeah, no. Listen, I mean, it's in Menage a Trois, obviously it wasn't directed at you. I said I love you, man. But the point is that the people bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Oh, Trump, you see, he praised the racist and the white supremacists in Charlottesville. No, he didn't. He never did that. Not once. Trump refused to repudiate the right-wing racist. That's a lie. 4 times the day it happened, he was on air calling them inappropriate and calling them out for their behavior, the white supremacist, 4 times that day. And over the course of that week, he did it 4 more times. Yet the media didn't cover it. Just like when Trump on January 6th went on Twitter live and said, we respect law enforcement. Leave the Capitol building. Do not enter the building. Go home peacefully. Trump said that. 2 broadcasts on Twitter. And what did they do? They shut his Twitter account off and hid that within an hour. And why did he go on Twitter? He went on Twitter because he had millions of followers on there. And people were out on they were watching TV. They were on their phones. And Twitter would come up and they could see that Trump was talking. That was more effective. And besides, none of the media would come to the White House briefing room to take the conversation because they're all out trying to cover the insurrection. Yep. It sucks having a word limit express thoughts. It does, Menage a Trois. That is a bit frustrating. I used to do call-in sessions. I'm not going to do it tonight, but I learned a very hard lesson doing that because people were misbehaving. But then also, I still did it for a while, but then nobody called in. Nobody called in. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. People call in and share their thoughts, but we might do that occasionally going forward. But yeah, look, I don't like Donald Trump. I don't. I never liked Donald Trump, but I don't care. It's not about liking someone. I've worked for bosses I could not stand, but they were my boss, and it was my responsibility to obey their lawful orders, and I did. And it's the same with Trump. Trump is now at 551 delegates. They've awarded some more delegates. Yep. Texas now at 67% of the vote in. Let's see how we got the delegates now. Where's it at? Super Tuesday. Here we go. So that's all right. So let's see. Get an update here on the Fox one and see who has got more delegates now. They got 551 as well. So they've now added Alabama, Arkansas, not California, Colorado. Haven't done Massachusetts. That's 2 states. Maine, Minnesota, they've not done yet. That's 3. North Carolina, they've done. Oklahoma, they've done. Tennessee, they've done. They've allocated Texas now, okay, 58 for Trump. That isn't right. Okay, now they're starting to delegate them piece by piece because there's 106, 130, something like that, 100 and some in Texas. So they only give them 58. I understand why. So Texas is partially done. None for Utah. And Virginia, they've done. Vermont, they haven't done Vermont yet, but that's going to go to Haley. But she's not going to get all of them because she's under 50% if it stays this way. So that's going to be a tough one. Wait and see. So what's with Alaska? Alaska hasn't reported yet. They've got 15 minutes before they close. So we still got about 4 states left here, and Trump is now out in front with 551 delegates. He's got 10 times as many delegates as Nikki Haley. 551 to 52. Biden, 565. Remember that they have different numbers of delegates the way their divisions or the parties do them. So Biden has he needs 1,968 to win out of 3,300. Well, there's 3,363 left. There are 1,800 delegates left in the Republican primary. Trump has 551. He is almost halfway to his victory, his confirmation. So Andreo Fix, been a while. Good morning. One question: what will happen to those who lied against Trump? The proof they actually misled the world. Nothing. Remember when Barack Hussein Obama ran against Mitt Romney and Dingy Harry Reid, the Mormon senator from Nevada who has spent like 18,000 years in the Senate? During the campaign, he repeatedly went on and lied and fabricated a story about Mitt Romney having been on vacation and tied his dog to the roof of the car and then killed his dog. He told the story over and over again to undermine Mitt Romney's reputation, which is ironic because they're both Mormons. So I guess, faith doesn't matter. And so people said it was a lie, but the media ran with the story, and he said it over and over again. They never questioned him. Months after the election, after Romney lost and Obama won, they cornered him and said, well, that story's been proven to be a lie. And he said, yeah, and they said, don't you feel guilty that you told a lie? He goes, we won the election, didn't we? That's what Harry Reid said. No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No, it never happened, Andrea. That story never happened. It was made up. And people fell for it because people are stupid. A lot of people are just dumb. They'll believe anything. Yep. They'll just believe anything. And it's very frustrating. And so, it's crazy stuff. But that's the reality. So, at this hour, Trump now with 551 delegates total after allocation tonight. So, they still got Nikki Haley. She's at 49.8%. So, she was over 50%. She had all of those delegates, but she's not going to get all of them now. So, let's see. The New York Times also has Trump at 551. And I don't know why they haven't. Yeah, they've given 58 in Texas. I don't know why he hasn't got all of them. So Utah is still, I guess Utah is not going to tell us the results tonight. Next primary is on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at the primaries when they're coming up. Come on. Where's it at? I had it here, but it's not so good. Okay, I have to find another spot. So, all right, hang on a second. Primary schedule. Okay, in order. Here we go. So, presidential. Oh, there's the Federal Election Commission. That's a good one. Let's see if that's website's up and running. Okay, yeah. So that's not what I want. That's alphabetical. So March 5th. Here we go. This will work. Let me zoom this one up a little bit bigger for you guys. Yeah, there we go. No, that's too big. There we go. All right, so let's go with this then. All right, so here you go. So March 5th, these are the states: Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Iowa, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and American Samoa. Then we have on the 6th, Hawaii for the Democrats, not for the Republicans. On the 8th, American Samoa for the Republicans. On the 12th, that's the next big day. It's Georgia, for both parties, Hawaii for the Republicans, Mississippi for both parties, and the Marianas Islands for the Democrats, Washington State for both parties, and the Democrats abroad. That's on March 12th. So that is a week from today. March 15th, Northern Marianas has Republicans and Guam on the 16th. And then on the 19th, so that's the next two, the 12th and 19th. On the 19th, it's a big haul of delegates. We've got 43 for Arizona, 125 for Florida, 64 for Illinois, 39 for Kansas, and 79 for Ohio. So that's 110, 20, about 400 delegates that day. So, and then Pennsylvania is not until April 23rd. And there you go, April 23rd. Why is that? Well, that's May, excuse me. April 23rd, Pennsylvania. Yep. There you go. Plan your vote in Pennsylvania. Well, I vote in Pennsylvania, and that's my primary day. So, yep. Do you think Trump has enough in the tank? It's too old. Phil, some people are going to raise that question tonight. I don't know if you saw him speak. They're probably going to say, well, Trump looked tired. Didn't have the same energy. Is he running out of steam? No. He took a measured approach this evening. He actually even said that we need the press. The press, a free and independent press, are necessary to keep an eye and to be a watchdog on the government. He said, unfortunately, they're being censored and the press are not able to do their job. It was a remarkable conciliatory or friendly olive branch to the media. In the past, he would always point those people back there. I know, because I was one of them. At the CPAC convention 2 years ago, Donald Trump got up on stage, and I was back on the stage with a camera recording with Sebastian Gorka, and he's like, those people back there, the fake media, which was funny because almost all the journalists back there were conservatives, and I was on the stage. They all turned around and booed, and some of the people near us were like, oh, guys, we know, it's just a thing. But he doesn't do that. He didn't do that tonight. He didn't get point there and go, now he did point, he said, those guys back there need support. That was amazing. Very different Donald Trump. So we'll see what happens. Primaries go on into the next few months. Yeah, no, they go all the way until June. Yep, or May. So, yeah, I don't think Trump is too old. What's your take on Trump and Putin relationship? I think the Trump and Putin relationship is a fictitious was made up by the Democrats. There is no Trump and Putin relationship. Trump held Putin at bay and held him responsible. See, that's the thing. They keep talking about Trump and Putin have this relationship. Prove it. Because he had a hotel in Moscow? He has a hotel in New Jersey. Does that mean he and Phil Murphy are friends? No. He had a hotel in D.C. Does that mean Muriel Bowser and Donald Trump are friends? No. They can't stand each other. They have no proof of this Putin relationship. But the proof is in the Obama relationship. Remember, Obama's the one that leaned forward and said to Medvedev, listen, tell Vlad that after the election, I have more flexibility to give him what he wants. It was Obama who did that, not Trump. So let's just run through the scorecard for everyone listening. Which president in the 21st century has not had a neighbor invaded by Russia on their watch? George Bush? Nope. Barack Hussein Obama? Nope. Joe Biden? Nope. Only Donald Trump did not have a neighbor invaded. So this relationship, if it's a relationship between Putin and Trump, why isn't it paying off for Putin? When Trump was president, Putin never dared invade Ukraine. He didn't interfere in the banking system and undermine the internet in Estonia anymore, which he did during Obama. He didn't invade and occupy the Crimea, which he did during Obama. He didn't invade Ukraine, which he did during Biden. And during George Bush, he invaded and fought a war against Georgia, which Georgia was able to hold on and win. So the only president with the reign of Vladimir Putin who hasn't seen a neighbor invaded and occupied or attacked is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president. What do you think was discussed when the media made a big deal about them meeting in private? I think that Donald Trump threatened Vladimir Putin. What do you think was said when Joe Biden met in private with all these leaders like Zelensky? We don't know. Zelensky's a grifter. He's probably just looking for more money. There's no, do people think that world leaders are supposed to be open and discuss diplomatic issues so you all know about it? No. I spent years working in diplomacy. That's not how it works. You only come out for joint statements and when you want people to know certain things, like, hey, peace is at hand. We've signed this agreement for trade. We've signed this peace agreement. We signed this ceasefire. Otherwise, you do the dirty backroom negotiation and arm twisting behind closed doors. Of course, world leaders meet in private. Those who sit out there in front of the cameras are just liars anyway. They're just out there for attention. They're not solving any problems. It's just window dressing. The United States can fix its political system by introducing term limits and age limits. I disagree with age limits. I can't agree with term limits. Yep. Did I answer your question? Biden was thinking Zelensky was his grandson. He probably thought he was Bo. Oh, it's so good to see you, Bo. It's been a long time. Have you been in Iraq all these years? Biden probably thought that Zelensky was Bo Biden. Yeah, seriously. Honestly, folks. Honestly. I mean, seriously. Come on, man. 551 is still the results here. Still waiting. I don't know why Texas only allocated 58 delegates. They have 100-some delegates, so it's odd. Why not age limits for Senate and House? Because that's discrimination. It's unnecessary discrimination. We have people that live to be centenarians are perfectly capable. Why do people think older people aren't capable of serving? Especially in politics. It's not like they're running track. It's not like they're lifting, rebarb. It's not like they're, plowing fields. Septenarians, octogenarians, nontogenarians. Some people very lucid and capable of doing their job in those ages. So why would we do that? Yeah, Pelosi isn't a problem because she's old. Pelosi's a problem because she's evil. Biden is a lunatic. He's been a lunatic since he got in the Senate in 1972. He shouldn't have been in the Senate for 38 years. He should never have been vice president, and he should never have been allowed to go near the nuclear football. That has nothing to do with their age. They were untrustworthy when they were 35. So an age limit would not have stopped them. They would have still destroyed this country for 35 years. So, no. Term limits, that's a different thing. And the only reason I'm in favor of term limits is because the political system has been corrupted. It's been corrupted. We're 6 minutes now away from the final primary closure tonight. That is Alaska, waiting for Alaska to close at midnight. Yep, just waiting for the caucus to end in Alaska at midnight. Hopefully we'll get quick results for that. Those with limits in place would have been out 3 decades ago. Yeah, limits, exactly. They never would. So ages wouldn't have been issued. But if you run for office the first time at 65 because you retired from something else, you should be allowed to run. If you serve, look, I read this article in BBC History Magazine about the oldest British commando, a former Navy admiral who served during the Boer War, and aide Adam Kitchener left the naval service and worked for the Army and worked for General Kitchener. And then during the Second World War, after he'd been retired as an admiral, came back on active duty to be a commando at the age of 70. Are we going to run out of people that want to run for office? I think, Shawnee, you're very close to it. Let me just relate a little personal experience here. First off, politics is very dirty. You can be an honest, forthright person like myself, and you find people making spurious comments, people telling lies about you, and people believing it without even having the courtesy of even researching it. You have people that do underhanded things in your campaign, and you basically, what I've discovered is that, unless you're incredibly wealthy, which I'm not, it's a very difficult row to hoe to get elected to office, even for local office. It's very expensive. It's very time consuming, and the deck is stacked against you. In my case, there are 5 candidates for an office, and only one is going to win. You have 2 choices, grow a thick skin or become a snake. Well, no, I think it's the third one. Yeah. You don't have to become a snake just because you don't have a thick skin. You can strike back. How's your campaign going? It's going better than I think. I don't think it's going well at times, but then every time I turn around, I get, people are like, wow. The key for me is just meeting people, and that's a challenge, and that's been undermined because our veteran service organization is failing right now because of people stabbing the organization in the back and betraying us. And so we are in bad shape right now. We're trying to get people. It's hard to find people to work. And so I spent on Monday 4 hours in there trying to sort out a mess, was in there again tonight. And both times my intention was to go there for 20 minutes and get a question answered and give some guidance to someone. And because people weren't there, I had to clean up the mess. That's 8 hours of campaigning I didn't get done in the last 2 days. But on the upside, my mail delivery, my letter carrier, Courtney's not here, my letter carrier came by today after my broadcast. I went out and collected my mail in the rain, walked out in the barefoot. And he came up and he said, hey, boy, your signs are everywhere. I said, really? because he travels the entire area. He said, yeah, I keep seeing your signs everywhere. People are really putting your signs out. I haven't seen other people's, I see other people's signs, but I guess I'm focused on them and not on my own. So yeah, so that was encouraging. And anytime I pretty much talk to people, pretty much get them to want to support me. So, you know, I'm not really sure how to say how it's going. I'll let you know next week. By the way, the debate will be televised next week. It will be televised. Well, not televised. It will be streamed on Facebook, most likely. It will be streamed next week. So once I have the link for that, they're supposed to provide that sometime soon. I will provide that link on all the groups for those who want to watch it. It's going to be after midnight, early morning for you guys. So I don't know if you want to watch it after the fact or watch it live, but if you're in South Africa, the debate will be televised. So we'll see how that goes. Benjamin Labascotney says, your thoughts on Victoria Nicklin resigning? Long overdue, Ben, long overdue. There are 5 people in my primary. 5 people. Just don't use the word demon rats and communists. Well, I'm very clear what a demon rat is. A demon rat's not a Democrat. Democrats are Democrats. Republicans are Republicans. But rhinos and demon rats, yeah. The communists, yeah, of course I use the word communist. Yeah, there are 4 other people running against me in the primary. Now, in this district, which is overwhelmingly conservative, if you win the primary, it's like AOC, you're probably going to win the general election. But you got to win it. Said it before, but I would think Nicklin will continue to craft policy and think, she'll go to the Brookings Institute or somewhere like that, or the Foreign Policy Center for Foreign Policy, whatever. Yeah, she'll do something like that. Council on Foreign Relations, she'll do one of those things. We're going to run out of people. Okay, I already read that. You think Nicklin leaving is going to change the situation in Ukraine? No, she's got nothing to do with Ukraine right now. No. And the only way to change the situation in Ukraine is regime change in Kiev or Moscow. And there was one chance at regime change in Moscow, and the coward backed down, and then he was assassinated. What an idiot. What an idiot. He had Moscow would have been captured within 24 hours. What an idiot. Vladimir Putin was on the ropes. It was all over, and that idiot stopped. That just shows you how stupid he was to begin with. Yep. So, there was a chance for Vladimir Putin to be overthrown. So the only way that changes is Biden is gone, Zelensky's gone, and or Putin is gone. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. People ask me when the war started in 2022, how long will it last? And I said it's going to last 3 to 5 years minimum. Minimum. And here we are over 2 years into it, and it's just like World War I. It's a slugfest. So, I was correct on that situation. Yep. Anyway, yeah, Victoria Nicklin, she is going to go to some think tank. You are correct about that. So, no updates now since the last time we talked, although California now is at 37% of the vote in, and Trump is holding, he's actually increasing his vote. He's at 75% now in California. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. In Vermont, Nikki Haley does not hit 50%. She's at 49.8%. Yeah, peace can be reached in weeks. Well, Arctic, I can end the war in Gaza tomorrow. It's very simple. 2 things need to happen. The hostages must be released and the remains of hostages they've murdered released. And number 1. Number 2 is Hamas must simply lay down its arms and surrender. And it's all over. No more civilians have to die. No more infrastructure has to be destroyed. No more artillery. No more bombing. No more death and mayhem. Hamas surrenders. And it's all over. Simple as that. Simple as that. How would Trump handle the Ukraine and Israel situations? Well, Trump is not going to solve either one in 24 hours, which he claimed about Ukraine. That's just not going to happen, folks. Don't forget to ban the UN from Gaza. Well, you should ban the UN from a lot of places. They have the audacity to make all these outlandish claims, the United Nations workers or that relief organization, and they've been caught with their pants down again, hiring terrorists who helped murder people and rape. So the UN, 5 months after the ghoulish sexual assaults and brutal sexual torture of women in Israel, suddenly says, after 5 months of investigation, there is reasonable grounds that it's still continuing and that there is evidence that it did occur. Well, we know there's evidence that occurred. You people just ignored it. Yeah, that's the bottom line. I'm getting a little anxious here about information being reported. So Alaska is finally over. Ooh. So check this out. California has a Senate race, and in that Senate race, every party competes. So everybody competes in an open race. It's a weird thing. So 2 candidates advance to November's general election for a full term in the Senate. So 38% of the votes are counted, and Adam Schiff, the shifty Schiff, the serial liar from the House of Representatives, has 36.9% of the vote. Steve Garvey, the legendary first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers, has 29%. All the other candidates have 34%. So Steve Garvey in November will be running for the U.S. Senate as a Republican against Adam Schiff because the next candidate has 14.8%. So, wow, that's crazy. Yep, that's crazy. And these are key races. I don't want key races. I want Republicans. So there we go. All right, Alaska's yet to report, even though they closed the caucuses now. Last time I reported was 25 minutes ago, so hopefully they'll report sometime soon. Just looking to see what else is left here. They've not called Utah. They've not called California. Now, wait a second. This is out of date. They have Donald Trump at 490 delegates. We know he's over 500 now. Yeah, way behind here. So I understand what's going on there. But that's the Associated Press. So let's go back to 551 still. Let's go back to New York Times now. New York Times, they have Steve Garvey and Adam Schiff advancing in that race. I hope Steve Garvey wins that race. That'd be awesome to see. Yep, that would be awesome to see. Donald Trump has defeated Nikki Haley in California, according to the Associated Press, triumphing in the most valuable state primary on Super Tuesday. All 169 of the state's Republican delegates will be awarded to Trump. Yeah, that's awesome. Vermont delivered an elusive and seemingly inconsequential victory to Nikki Haley over Donald Trump. The state is Haley's only Super Tuesday win so far in her second election cycle. Trump's victory speech tonight highlights just how dark his campaign messaging has been, particularly on immigration. In some ways, we're a third world country. We're a third world country at our borders. Dark, says Chris Cameron. It wasn't dark. It was nuanced and polite and respectful. I love how the media paint things the way they want them to be. He said Donald Trump is notably alone on the stage at his watch party. After other victories this year, he's surrounded by surrogates, top campaign staff members, many of whom are in the crowd tonight. Well, maybe that's because Trump didn't want them up on the stage tonight. He didn't call anybody by name. I love how the media paint this. Anyway, so that's where we're at now. He's won 12 states, and we still got 2 more to go. So he could win 14 of the 15 states tonight. And Vermont isn't done, but it doesn't look like he's going to come back. Donald Trump seeking cash infusion meets with Elon Musk. What is this? What is this? Are they playing games here now? Let's see what the New York Times has to say. Now it's clear whether Mr. Musk will spend any of his billions on the former president's behalf. If he does, he could erase Mr. Trump's financial disadvantage. How does Trump have a financial disadvantage? Net worth of $200 billion. He could throw his weight behind Trump, almost single-handedly erase what's expected to be Biden's huge financial advantage. You know, it's funny how they always talk about Republicans are the party of, business, but it's always the Democrats get all the money from business. Hey, Maurice Hebretts, how's it going, man? How's it going? It's a massive win for Donald Trump tonight, and we're still waiting for the results to come in Alaska and Utah. I don't think we're going to see Utah tonight. They're taking way too long, but Alaska we'll see. But California has been called for Trump. He's going to get all of it, but they haven't awarded all the delegates yet. There's only a handful of delegates that have been awarded. And I'm not sure why it's taking so long to award delegates for states. The races have already been called with over 80%. Trump dominated California or Colorado. Yep. It is karma, Matt. He also dominated Maine. In Colorado, Donald Trump has 63% of the votes. He got 20 of the 25 delegates. Nikki Haley got 5. In Maine, Donald Trump had 72% of the vote, and he gets 20% of the delegates. Illinois, of course, isn't tonight, so we can't really look at that one. But yeah, Trump is just rolling tonight. So there you have it. All right. There's a cliche in D.C. The Republicans are the mass shooters. The Dems are the Uvalde police. I have not heard that before. That's a tacky one to say the least. Very tacky. Yeah. So Trump is rolling everywhere. Minnesota 68%, Massachusetts 60%, and then the 75, 82%, 78%, 77%, 73%. It's across the board. 83% in Alabama. It's just a huge win for Trump all across the board. Yep. So Steve Garvey and Adam Schiff are going to move on. Yep. Anyway, back up here. So Super Tuesday. A third of delegates are at stake in Republican primary tonight, and we've seen where they're going. But for some reason, they're not. 567 now. We finally got 567 for Trump, 60 for Haley. So more have been awarded. Let's see where that came from. Was it Texas? We go down to Texas and see if they've given more. Texas, because they only gave Trump 58. Texas primary. He still got only 58, so I don't know what's going on there. They have 130 something or something like that. Trump now has 567 and Haley 60. That's from Fox. Let's see what the New York Times says. 567. Yep, Trump. So tonight, Trump has gained 294 so far, and Haley has gained 17, which is an odds here. So let's just do the math here really quickly here because something's not right. I don't know why they're not awarding these delegates in these states, but let's just run through the states. So Maine, Trump gets 20. So 20 plus Virginia, which is another 27. He's won that. North Carolina, 20. Tennessee is 40. And then Arkansas is 27. That's 134. Oklahoma is 37. 171. Minnesota, 16. Colorado, 20. That's 207. And Texas, only 58. I don't know why that 58. Well, that's not right. I got that wrong. So anyway, something's not right here. So something's not right. So they've got Trump 303 now, 576. Okay, so it's updating. Nikki Haley's won 19 tonight, and Trump has won 303. So he's at 576. It just doesn't sound right, though. He's still got 161 in California he's going to win. And then Texas, I don't know where the rest of them are at. It's crazy. So let me see. The delegates at stake in Texas are 161, 169 in California. So between the two of them, that's 330 delegates just in California and Texas, and he's going to win all of them. So that's 330. That's more than they've currently got him listed as having, which is odd. Very odd. So I don't understand what's going on there. And Minnesota says 39 delegates. Massachusetts 40. Those 40 from Massachusetts have yet to appear on the board, even though Trump has clearly won. So that's 40 more he's going to get. Utah, he'll get 40 more. That's 80 plus 330. That's 400 delegates right there. Yeah, at least 400 in Alaska. What's Alaska going to run? 29. So, yeah, he'll probably get Alaska too. So it's a lot more. So 576. This says it got 303. There's over 300 more just from California and Texas. Sorry about talking your ear off. I've got to go to bed before my wife turns into pumpkin. You're welcome, Najqua. Thanks for being here. Yeah, no worries. You're not talking my ear off. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, an hour and 12 minutes into it. We're not going to get more results, I don't think, here, folks. 576 for Trump now, 62 for Haley. All right. So just trying to get a quick update here before we go. It looks like that's all we're going to get for tonight. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in. And again, big night for Donald Trump. The only person what's going on here? Am I live? There we go. Big night for Donald Trump. The only candidate to actually speak tonight in a rather subdued speech he gave. Donald Trump praised the media. The fake news. Praised the media. It was interesting. It was a huge night. Only Vermont is eluding his grasp at this hour. And there's still a few votes to be counted, but it looks like Nikki Haley's going to win that race. But doesn't look like she's going to get to 50% to get all the delegates. So they'll be proportional, which means that Trump, that's a victory for him in essence, because Vermont was an open primary. You didn't have to belong to any party. You said to be registered to vote. You could show up that night, not change parties, and vote for whoever you wanted. And obviously that threw the race for Nikki Haley. So there you have it, folks. All right, thanks. Be sure to share the word about this. Thanks for being here. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get some rest. And that's it for this one. So big night, Super Tuesday, a big, big night. Cheers, everybody. God bless and be safe out there.